Well, hello, and welcome to that thing we like to call Curlis Mania, where we talk to all things pop rock and prog. And as you can see, I have my good friend from Scotland back on the channel, Mr. Steven Reid. I'm so happy to have you back. How are you?
I am very well, Tom, and as always, it's a pleasure to be on the channel. So thank you for asking me back.
Yes, of course. And we are here to talk some more Marillion. And we actually had a viewer. I had a viewer say, "When's season's end coming?" Like they're waiting for it. So people are waiting for us to do the next Marillion series. I mean, we did the fish, we've done all the fish records now, and we are now on to this is the episode we are going to call After the Split. So this was the idea that we had. We said, well, we could just do Season's End, we could just proceed with Marillion, but we thought, we talked so much about fish. There it is. Steven told me he was going to do show and tell, and I'm taking it in too. So that looks like the massive reissue of Vigil
Yeah,
with was it live stuff and demos, and I
there's
mean it's
live
got
stuff
everything,
and,
right?
there's demos, there's B-sides, there's slightly different versions. There's a whole load of stuff on here. Yes, yeah,
Wow, look at that. Oh,
it's very good, and it makes a nice companion to this, which you may not recognise as actually that.
right. Yes. This
Yeah,
is
they mucked
yep.
about with the cover, so yes, they've
Yep.
changed. It's still kind of related to. I don't know if I like
Yeah, it's
this
sort of
actually.
close, but yeah.
But then again, I don't know if I ever liked the cover to that either. So
Yeah. 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 I wasn't, it's funny, when this first came out, I wasn't so sure about the artwork. I wasn't that sure about it on Season's End. I was like, it's pretty cool. Still has the
yeah,
Marillion logo, but I was like to your point, I was so used to the Mark Wilkinson artwork, you know, that it was like a little bit taken aback by it. Like that, exactly.
yeah. I mean,
So,
they did ask him. They did ask him to do it, and he was kind of like, themes and ideas and all this are not really me. So he threw his hat in the ring on the other side of the fence because at this period of the band stroke the solo act seems to have been and remains for a lot of people very much us and them. I'm either with them or I'm with him.
right.
There was a lot of people that didn't do. I did both, and I've stuck with both. And I'll throw it out there right now, maybe even ruin your last question, and say that this worked for me. I love, as we've discovered, the first four albums, and I feel that we gained more from the split. But that's me. So a lot of people will disagree with that, and I understand that.
Well, it's kind of like the John Lennon quote when he said, when people were bemoaning the breakup of the Beatles, and he said, "Well, now you have four albums. You have everyone's putting out solo records. You're getting actually more product from everybody." Um, so that was his comeback a lot of the time, and it's just interesting. So, all right, let's just get right into it. Let's just go right into it. Let's get to the meat of the matter here, and that is, what is your take on the split between Fish and the band? So this is what I understand, and you can correct me if I'm. This is my understanding of it.
Okay.
Is that they did this right as you can see. Go back to the video for Clutching at Straws. To me, it's just a masterpiece. It's an awesome record, and they toured it, and they toured the Europe and U.S. And then they were still together after the tour, from what I understand, and they started to create some demo-ish new material for the next record. And somewhere in that process, Fish decided that he threw down the gauntlet about, I need more money or something, or I need more publishing, or it needs to be 50% for the lyrics or something like that. And the band was like, whoa, time out, what? So that this is what I don't know if I'm on this. I'm not sure. What's your take on it?
No, it's not a case of you being wrong. It had been building before then. Realistically, there was a lot of friction within the band, and that became factions. And when the faction becomes kind of four, well, maybe three, because Ian Mosley kind of floats somewhere in the middle. He was the mediator
Oh, interesting. Okay.
between the other three musicians and Fish. And he was always kind of seen as the guy who would kind of, you know, calm it all down. He was capable of standing up to Fish, which not everybody could. He was and remains a big and imposing figure, not just physically, but also just in his character. He's a gregarious chap, but he's also he can be in your face and he's not going to muck about and all that kind of stuff. He's
Right. You're right.
uncompromising,
Yeah.
but and uncompromising in all ways. And that to me is another thing that we gained from this, because uncompromising in the sense that he began to be able to do things that the band would never have gone along with. This would never have lasted even if they managed to create another album together anyway, I don't think. But there you go. So yes, it started to become about publishing and how the money was split, but also it got to that point where for the demos, which, and I haven't actually, it's behind me up here, the show and tell, for the demos for what was meant to follow Clutching at Straws, and therefore that bonus disc is on the Clutching at Straws deluxe box set. The band kind of viewed it as, well, what we've actually done, this is prior to Clutching, is made Misplaced Childhood 2. And
Right.
those
Right.
demos, interestingly, you can then subsequently hear some of on this. Snippets, passages, little bits of solos, ideas. Marillion have long been a band where they will jam for a long, long time and go, I like this bit and I like that bit. And this bit next to this bit, if you join them together and move them around, what a great song you've got.
Right.
So you don't
Right.
necessarily think, you don't listen to those demos and think, oh, well, there is King of Sunset Town. But you can listen to some of it and go, oh, there's a bit of King of Sunset. Oh,
Oh,
that
that
sounds,
part right there.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lyrically, also the themes and the ideas for Vigil, they also, a lot of them germinate at that stage too. Fish is beginning to play with the ideas of an independent Scotland. He's starting to sing about things like domestic abuse and topics that the band, I mean, he's Scottish, the band are all from England. So the band were kind of like, not sure I want to,
Like what?
write music
Yeah.
for Scottish independence kind of themes. But
Right.
also, they were still at this point a chart act trying to get hit singles and all that pressure. And
Hmm.
he's come in with these kind of abstract ideas that they're looking at and going, so we're not really a commercial band. These are not really commercial lyrics. At what point do we? So they stopped liking his lyrics. They were beginning to challenge back on him and say, whether we like these or not, we can't really use these.
Yeah.
And he was starting to go, yeah, see that this music you're coming up with, it doesn't really do this and it doesn't really do that. And as a guy who needs a songwriting partner because he's not a musician in that
Right.
sense,
Right.
never the twain shall meet. When you've got the guy who's not writing the music going, I don't like the music, and the guys who are not writing the lyrics going, I'm not sure about those lyrics.
This isn't good. This is not good.
No. So then we ended up with Clutching at Straws. And even lyrically, with that, the band are not satisfied with what they're presenting here, because we discussed Warm Wet Circles and the connotations of the track title. If you want to look at it that way, Mark Kelly definitely did. But Sugar Mice and all these things, these are not kind of commercial, mainstream ideas. And that album very much becomes about the Torch character who is drinking too much and living life over the edge, and a rock star that's kind of not being able to, square the circle. He's writing about himself. And he
Right.
always
Right.
had in many ways, but it becomes a little bit more overt. It's not autobiographical, it's not a million miles away in certain points. And there was all this friction, and then there's lots of fallouts on tour and all that time together as a band. And the stereotypical or archetypal, or whatever you want to say, thought is that if they had been able to, because John Arneson, I think, was a manager at this point, he is driving a band on. We've got to record more, we've got to tour more, you've got to play more
Let's go.
dates.
Let's go. Let's
I
go.
know the
Right.
tour is
Yeah.
finished, but actually there's another 4 dates in Germany. I know the tour's finished, but there's a festival to play. I know that the tour's finished, but actually, if you just want to headline this, everyone's
Right.
making money
Right.
because these five guys are playing on stage.
Sure. Sure.
And Fish at this point was also trying to say, whoa, slow down,
Can we slow
guys.
things down a bit? Yeah. Right.
And they were very much in the camp with the manager, which doesn't last much longer after this stage anyway. Round about
Right.
this stage, engine stage, they kind of go to him and go, so what do we do? We're beginning to struggle a little bit. And he goes, it's maybe time for jobs, guys.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
at that point, they
Right.
went, you know what, maybe that big Scottish guy was right. But there you go. So there's
Yeah.
lots of reasons that the breakup happens, and eventually Fish puts in a resignation letter, and it's all very unfriendly. and the band accept it, and then he tries to take it back, and they go, whoa, 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 kind of, the horse is bolted now, and
Right.
we've shut the barn door, so
Right.
there's no intention of going back there now. We actually feel better now that this is not going to happen. Then he takes out litigation against him to say that some of the gear they were recording this with was his, so they needed to stop, they needed to cease and desist. So Steve Hogarth supposedly was sitting by the pool, wherever it was they were recording this album, and some guy turns up with paperwork and goes, "Are you Ian Mosley?" And he goes, "No." "Are you
No.
Mark Kelly?" "No." "Pete Travis?" "No." "Steve Rothery?" "No." And he goes, "Okay." And he goes, "Well, that's fine. They're not serving anything against me then." And the rest of them all get envelopes. And as soon as you accept an envelope, well, there you go. So they had to stop recording, and it got very messy. And I remember going to see Fish on the tour before Vigil was released, and because John Helmer helps write the lyrics on some of this,
Hmm.
cracked the joke. So, how many people does it take to write a Marillion album? And this was the kind of tone that we were living in
Yes,
at the
yes. Right.
time.
Yes. No, no, that's a great summary because it's very complicated, right? It's never just one reason.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
always,
and there's more than that. I've missed a whole load too.
there's
So
probably more than that, right? Exactly. But I did hear in the interview about threw an injunction at them because he owned 1/5 of the equipment or whatever, and it
yeah,
was
yeah, which didn't float. That never landed either. So there you
yeah.
go.
I
Yeah,
think that was
Fish
just
took a lot of
yeah.
interesting legal advice at this point and over the next few years that would not stand him in good stead.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And I think he was worried about, I don't know, who knows. But like you said, it was just things got kind of ugly. They just got a little bit ugly
yeah.
because it was, I think he was probably thinking, well, they're just going to get another singer and keep going, and I'm going to try to stop them and scare them, or who knows what. But like you said, I think he was also listening to some attorneys and things like that. So who knows? But yeah, it's interesting. I wanted to say really quick because you said something about they weren't as psyched about his lyrics, and it's interesting because I remember, it's kind of similar to the Pink Floyd thing where I mean when Roger Waters was doing the whole wall thing about, and it was mostly about himself, and the quote was from Rick Wright, who said, "Oh God, here we go again. Your father died in the war, and your mother's overbearing, and you don't like the band, you don't like to tour." Like he was kind of making fun of the lyrics a little bit, and I kind of wonder if there was a little bit of that going on during Clutching at Straws. Um,
I think they were certainly. I don't think they were making fun of it. They were certainly uncomfortable with it. Yes, I think
yeah,
they were definitely looking at it and kind of going, "Well, we can't relate to this. So how
yeah,
does the fan base relate to this?" As it turned out, the fan base did relate to it, and that's the as with the wall, because the fan base related to that too. So it's interesting how those really close to it can often feel we're losing control of this,
right,
and Fish was very much the face of the band, which Steve Hogarth would go on to be the face of the band in the media, realistically, because other guys didn't really want that. But at the same time, it doesn't necessarily make it comfortable when everyone wants to speak to the singer.
right,
So when
right,
that friction is there and he's become the de facto voice of the band, and he's beginning to say a few controversial things and speak his mind and have a few
hmm
drinks while he's doing his interviews and all that kind of stuff. There's just, as I said, there was just an awful lot going on at this point, and the band themselves were not squeaky clean. This is not all one way.
right.
I
It's not
actually think,
one way or the other,
yeah,
right?
I
Yeah,
genuinely think that all parties actually wanted the best for Marillion. They just had different ideas of what that was.
right,
And
right,
because there was no separation, because there was no time apart, and because there was just that push from within, not the five people, but within the organization to just do more of it, just continue going,
right, right,
and there was no point that they could actually hit reset and go, do you know what, if we just maybe take a step back, we can maybe all just find some common ground again and off we'll go, because we're just as big as we could for that style of band at that era, as big as they could possibly have been. And maybe that would have maintained. Maybe it wouldn't, because it's 1989 we're talking about here. The times they are.
right, right.
So,
Yes,
music is already about to go. Anything that was about over the last 10 years, we don't want that very much anymore.
right, right.
So does the split play into that? Well, yeah, I would say so. Also, maybe not. There's maybe more involved in that too.
That's a great point, Stephen. I never really thought of that, the timing of it as well. Just the, music tastes changing and shifting, and it's the end of a decade and into a new decade. And yeah, it's interesting. Interesting to think about that. And but I can see both sides of it, right? I can see
Mm.
because I remember Fish saying in an interview later, he said something about, Marillion was poised. We were on the edge of becoming this very big band. Like we were going to be very big. If we had continued, I think we were going to be even bigger. And and that's where the band and the manager are probably like, okay, we're really on the cusp of being this huge band. We should just keep pushing, push, push, push. And I can also see where Fish is like, okay, we've been pushing for a while. Can we just relax for a minute? Like, can we sit back for a second and
Mhm.
just take a breath? I can see both sides of it because so we don't implode. If we keep pushing, we're going to implode. So I see both sides of that.
I think also, and timings are an amazing thing too, in that sense, that it is very difficult to maintain a profile in the late 80s without the internet, because the internet's not there. So it
Yeah,
doesn't exist.
right,
So if you
right.
don't have a single in the charts, or if you don't have a tour being pushed in the magazines, or if you don't have your face in the papers, or you're not on the front of Kerrang or Metal Hammer or whatever it may be, then everyone kind of goes, where did they go then? What happened to that band? And it happens very
Yeah,
quickly. And
it's
that's
true.
why, I mean, not maybe not quite so much in the 80s, but certainly in the 70s, bands were releasing 2 albums a year. And that was
Right.
as much through necessity as it
Yeah.
was through the fact that they had lots and lots of music just sitting about because they didn't. As we get to this stage, yeah, 1, 2, 3 years between albums isn't crazy. But once you get to that 3 year point, people do start to go, who I remember them. They
You're
used to be pretty
invisible
good.
at that point. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, all right. Is it so? All right. They've got new music out. Oh, I see. At least with Marillion and with Fish, there was a narrative around this of what happens after the split. So,
Right.
so the music press was primed for this return from both. And interestingly, let's get into it. So, interestingly, Fish's album was ready before Season's End.
Oh, it was.
It was, and
Oh,
EMI, because they both remained on EMI, who they'd been on for their 4 albums together, I actually said to him, "Do you know, wouldn't it be lovely if we could concentrate on Marillion first? We'd really love it if your album wasn't a distraction. If they both come out together, you're going to get lost in the
yeah.
shuffle. People are going to buy
Right.
one and not the other, and all this kind of stuff. And if your album comes out second, then we can piggyback your name on the back of their album and all this kind
Right.
of stuff."
Right.
So his album was ready, I believe, in the June of '89 for release,
Okay.
and EMI went,
Eh.
let's not do that then. And Marillion's came out on the 25th of September 1989. Okay, so already there's more friction there at that point too. So the whole album campaign for Fish starts after Marillion's album's been and gone as such, but all of this was ready before. As I say, I saw him on, well, it wouldn't be the Vigil tour, but I saw him on the tour prior to Vigil, and he did a set that was roughly 50-50 songs from this. He opened, I think, with Faith Healer by Alex
Oh.
Harvey, the station
Oh,
Alex Harvey,
wow.
which was
Okay. All right.
fantastic.
Wow.
Um, and then he did a set that was 50-50 Vigil and Marillion songs. And it did about 2/3 of the way through the set. And I think he was away to play Punch and Judy, I think.
Okay.
Um,
All
this is
right.
from a long time ago, and
Right.
I
It's a
can
long,
barely remember
long
my
while
name.
ago now. Yeah.
He did actually say, here's one of the ones that you know. Yippee! Because he was presenting
Right.
half a
Right.
set of music that nobody knew.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's
And
hard, and that's
that was
hard. That's a lot harder than,
really hard.
yeah.
And that was not his initial plan. His
Right.
initial plan was the album would be ready and out, and he had a band primed to go, and the band is good. Um, and then they had to kind of work round what else was happening. So what we
Right.
got first instead was Season's End. Okay,
Right.
with this guy, this guy here. This is Steve
Oh,
Hogarth.
nice. Hogarth. Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
so this is the
From his,
Europeans.
okay.
So this is the Europeans, and this is How We Live.
Yeah. I knew where How We Live. I knew that. I didn't know Europeans. There you go.
He is here as well.
All right. There he is.
Okay,
Yep.
and these are very 80s kind of bands. I don't know if you've heard How We Live. Um, it's kind of pop music.
Very
It's what it
80s,
is.
very 80s. Yeah.
Very 80s.
Right.
And the Europeans kind of land somewhere in that kind of 80s electro, bit of punk, bit of pop. As you
Mhm.
actually listen to their catalogue, and this is all I've got because I don't really like it very much, truth be told.
Right. Right.
It's a bit all over the place. And you hear him singing in both of these outfits. The guy's a great singer, but you don't necessarily expect this.
Right.
Okay, so this is
Right.
Hooks in You. This is
Look
the
at that. There we go.
There we go. So this is the debut
Single.
single
Yep.
from the Season's End album. What an odd way to introduce a Marillion album, with arguably the heaviest thing
Heaviest thing they've ever done, almost.
not far away from it, is it?
No.
It's a rubbish cover. It's. I mean, obviously, the message is she's got her hooks in you. The hooks
Right.
being the
Sure.
fingernails and all this kind of stuff. But it's just, I don't know. When you were used to these fantastic Mark Wilkinson covers, this was just,
Yeah, it was a little odd. It was like, what?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But still, I bought it when it came out. What do you think of Hooks in You, Tom?
You
How do
know,
you?
I like it. It's probably because it's so different. I mean, and he's really got those heavy guitars. I mean, that's really you're not used to this distorted sound from Rothery, and he's leaning into it. I mean, it's almost to the edge of heavy metal. It's like, whoa, like some of those riffs that he's doing. But the riff is really cool. I mean, I love the riff. And you could almost hear them in the rehearsal studio just going, oh, this is cool. It's kind of heavy, but it's cool. And so I think it's definitely different for them, but I kind of like it.
Yeah,
I gotta
I would
say.
completely agree with you there. I mean, it got to here in the UK, it got to number 30 in the charts. So by Marillion standards, for a debut single, it's actually a little bit of a flop compared to recent times.
Right, right,
So
right.
it got to 30. The uninvited guest, which followed it, got to 35.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Steve.
No, nice.
Um, so that got to 35, and then Easter, which came out long after the album had come out. So this is a
Oh,
tour which
look at this. This show and tell is phenomenal.
oh,
I knew it would be.
and this got to number 34 in the charts. So
Yeah.
really, we're kind of struggling away at the bottom end. The album itself got to number 7. So this is not a disaster,
No, no.
realistically. I mean, they are a heavy prog band by this stage, but it does. Do you know that the A&R guy will say, "Hey guys, I don't hear a single," and maybe the issue with Season's End is that Easter probably should have been the lead-off single. I think
Easter is
that's the
just
song,
phenomenal. Easter's
yeah,
phenomenal. Yeah.
and it's the most enduring song for the band from this album. It's the one that they still play live most often from this album, and it's got one of the iconic guitar solos from Steve Rothery on it because it's just
Absolutely.
glorious.
Absolutely.
Beyond that, the two other songs they release are the singles, realistically, because they're the only ones that are kind of concise enough, more in attitude than just song length, to say, can we get this in the charts and will people sing along with it? But I don't know how well. I don't love the uninvited guest.
Right.
I will put it out there and say it's
I
one
don't
of
really
my.
love that either. I don't love that one either. I'll have to be
It's
honest.
a bit stoppy start for me.
Yeah.
Um, and it's one of those songs that when it's on, I think, yeah, this is quite good. And when it finishes, I kind of go, yeah, it's all right.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's
And
kind
for
of the
me,
way I
the
feel
really,
about it.
yeah, and the big set plays on this album. I love King of Sunset Town.
Oh
So
yeah.
that's what introduces the album, and it builds, and it's got a great vocal. I live for those drum flurries around the toms where he mixes the cymbals on his as he goes round.
Oh, yes. Oh,
And it's just one of those,
yes.
it's such a Mosleyism, but
It's
he really comes through with it at this point, and I
grade
really
A
listen
Mosley.
to him.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when I, back in the days when I used to play drums, I played the drums to this song forever,
Yeah.
and not as well as Mr. Mosley. And I just think it's fantastic, but you couldn't necessarily present the album with that. I think the
No, no,
title
that's not
track
really a
is
single. Not really.
no, and I think the title track is huge and it's atmospheric. It's cleverly restrained in places. I think the keys don't do much, but what they do is vital to the songs. Great guitars. So
Widescreen. Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
just
that's a great
Technicolor,
way of doing it.
Technicolor. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So
Love it.
I think the interesting thing as well is that a lot of this music was allegedly worked up as they were looking at clutching at straws, and yet very little of it sounds Fish era Marillion. I think in
Right.
Holloway Girl, which is kind of pensive and slightly uneasy in places, initially you listen to the intro of that, and you kind of, if you can isolate everything out and listen to the guitars and the way the drums are structured, it's kind of the sibling of a sassing. It has
Yeah.
got that kind of
Yeah.
thing on with the guitars, and the drums are just, but not in that way that the tribal drums come through in a sassing. It's just that earlier kind of bit.
Yeah.
And there's not much else. I can understand. I love this album. I can understand why
Mhm.
some people felt a little bit removed from it. If you were
Right.
a massive Fish
Right.
fan,
Yeah.
and you happen to like the band that he was in.
Yeah. 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 I mean, it's funny on listening again just for this episode, I mean, I know this album very well, but just listening to it, just wanted a fresh listen. It's interesting how certain songs jump out and you go, "Oh yeah, I forgot about that song." You mentioned "Holloway Girl." That song, I was like, "Oh yeah, I really like this song." It's kind of a sleeper track on this record
Mhm.
for me. I mean, it's pretty compact compared to, like you said, some of the longer tracks.
I
Um,
like Holloway Girl into Berlin. To me, is kind of that's the deep end of the album.
yeah,
Where
yeah,
things are a little darker, a little bit more pensive. There's not much commerciality in there, and yet these songs have their release. You do get your guitar solos. You do get some more bombastic kind of keyboard moments where the drums are driving everything. We haven't really touched on Mr. Hogarth's vocals. Are you a fan, Tom?
I am a fan. Yes, yes, definitely. I think he's a great singer. I think he talk about jumping into the deep end with the band and just putting your stamp on it. And he does that brilliantly on this record. I really think that he does a fantastic job. I mean, there's times. Do I miss Fish? Yes, I do miss Fish sometimes. I miss a little bit of his edginess and passion, and I don't know how to describe it. Like some of the we had a lot of descriptions on our previous reviews of when Fish does his like like he just goes crazy and he kind of like is like off the charts crazy. I kind of miss that a little bit because Steve is a little bit more in his thing.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I do miss. But overall, I can't complain that much. I think his vocals are very good on this record. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm an unabashed fan,
Yeah.
and I was told from King of Sunset Town, and I have been ever since. He's a quote unquote better singer than Fish. That doesn't
Right.
make him a better
Right.
frontman and vocalist.
Hmm.
He's a better actual singer. That
Hmm.
said, when he sings the Fish material live, it doesn't work. It's not
Yeah.
awful,
Yeah. Right.
um, but
Right.
he's more comfortable now because decades have passed. But it still doesn't sit. There are some bands you can go and see and they've changed singers and they sing the old material and you just accept that and you sing along and it's okay.
Hmm.
Hogarth sings Fish era Marillion and you kind of go,
It's like trying to
great to
shove the
hear it.
into a square peg round hole thing a
Yes.
little bit.
And it's
Yeah.
great to hear it.
Right.
And I will go wild when they do these songs because I love that era.
Sure.
And yet it still just feels a little odd. There is
Yeah.
one, I never brought that either. There is one Mexican compilation where he actually does a studio version of Kaylee. It's very odd.
Oh wow. Okay.
I think that's the only time that he's ever done anything along those lines.
Hmm.
But yeah, he's a better, better singer, but he's not
Technically,
ready for that
yeah.
material. And yet,
Yeah.
he's amazing on this album.
Yeah, he's very
And I
good on this
still,
record.
much though you can't say there's much on this that you would go, well, that sounds like Clutching at Straws, or that sounds like Misplaced Childhood, or that so on and so on.
Hmm.
It still sounds like a Marillion album.
Right.
Hogarth, Rothery's guitar tone is still 100% intact.
Oh, absolutely. It's still there. Yeah.
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 I love the production by Nick Davis, who would go on to work with Genesis and various things on this album. The drums sound fantastic on this album.
Hmm.
Toms are big and voluminous without overtaking anything. You can still hear all of those touches from Mark Kelly, and yet this band have moved on. But arguably, they would have moved on anyway, but with a
Right.
singer that couldn't have sang this material. So it's a bit, as I say,
Yeah.
I really, a lot of people, even now, you go on discussions and Facebook pages and things like that, and people are saying, oh, yeah, but if they just stayed together, I think if they just stayed together, we'd have nothing now. We
Yeah.
wouldn't have had
Yeah.
all the albums that followed from either side because I just don't see how they would have continued along together. The ideas are so diversified within the next 3 or 4 years that we're in completely different spots altogether.
Yeah,
And I
I
just
mean,
and as a group of musicians, all five of them, the original five, they're not the original five, but the five that did the bulk of those Fish Ear albums are pig-headed enough that they just wouldn't have made the same album over and over. So I
yeah,
don't know where they would
yeah.
have been. But there you go.
No, I agree with you. I think you laid it out earlier perfectly that they were having it wasn't just it was creative differences as well. They were going kind of like this creatively. So I don't think that they could have made another record together. I just don't think it would have happened. And that kind of takes me to the Fish record. So I did another, of course, I remember listening to this album when it came out. I mean, I was a fan. So when these came out, I was definitely like on it. I'm sure you were too.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't wait to hear both of them. And I remember hearing the Fish record and I was like, oh yeah, like here we go. And it was interesting because like you said, it was very odd because it was like, okay, it was almost like you it was like the same cake with different frosting on Season's End. And then it was like the same frosting with different cake on the Fish record. That's what it kind of felt like. And but man, I love that frosting. So like, so I love enjoyed both of them, and I really the one thing that hit me, and let me know what you think on the Fish record when repeated listenings for this episode. This record kind of like for me, it kind of the meat of that album is like the middle part. Like I love those middle songs of Family Business and Cliche
Yeah.
and what's the third one? I can't think of the third one.
Or A View from the Hill.
What was View from the Hill? Those three. Oh my God, those three songs just blow me away. Love those songs.
Yeah, I would. It's interesting. Let's do the same thing. So this album came out in 1990. So we're into the 90s now.
Right.
29th of January, 1990. As I say, the album was completed 6 months, 7 months prior to that, realistically. And Fish has put together a fantastic band. You've
Yes.
got Frank Usher on guitars and Hal Lindes or Lindes on guitars from Dire Straits. You've
Hmm.
got John Giblin on bass. You've got Mickey Simmons on keyboards, who Fish would co-write most of this album with. And you've got, sorry, Mark, you've got Mark Borzecki. I never pronounced that name well. On
Yes.
drums, best
Hmm.
known at this point for being with um,
From Big Country, right?
Big Country.
Yeah.
But you've also got guest appearances from Janet Jers, who would go on to be with Maiden. He'd been with Gillan and various things at this point. And also from a Scottish point of view, you've got Phil Cunningham and Ali Bain. These guys are legendary folk musicians in
Nice.
Scotland. You
Nice.
can't really be Scottish in my age and not know who these guys are. If you, back in the 70s and 80s, into the 90s, and maybe beyond, if you watched the TV on Hogmanay, so New Year's Eve for everybody else, you would see these guys on the telly. These guys are bona fide stars here in Scotland. And these guys are here adding fiddle and whistle and pipes and a whole load of
Yes.
different flavors
He's
that
bringing in
you would,
those folk elements.
yes,
Yes.
you would
Right.
never have got these flavors on a Marillion
There's
album.
no
So,
way. There's no
for
way.
comparison,
Yeah.
Vigil, which was released after, got to number 5 in the UK album chart, so that's two
Wow.
places higher than Season's
Okay.
End.
All right.
The first single, which preceded the album, here we go, State of Mind,
State of okay. Right.
got to number 32, so comparable with Marillion. Then you've got, I suppose, the most commercial of the singles, I would guess, Big Wedge,
Right.
okay, which got to number 25. So
I
that's the
love
highest starting single out of any of these.
I love
Okay,
the
so
artwork of that single with the Uncle
yeah,
Sam with the money.
isn't
Yeah.
that brilliant? I've also got the 7 inch, which actually comes in a fold out wallet pack, a bit like Photographed by Def Leppard, if you remember that. It looks like the
Right.
leather wallet, and you open up and there's pictures inside, and then you take the sleeve out, and that's what's inside the
That's
sleeve.
fantastic. That's fantastic.
And then A Gentleman's Excuse Me got to number 30.
Oh
Same
yes.
again.
Right.
It's interesting because with Marillion, they did things the other way around. Rock bands used to release ballads off the album, and then everyone would go, but the album doesn't sound like that. They released the
Right.
rock song, and the album doesn't sound like that. I don't know if the album sounds like State of Mind. I suppose it kind of does. If you're
Right.
in Europe, so mainland Europe, you also got the company,
A
which we never
company.
got
Right. Right.
in the
Yes.
UK.
Right.
So 4 songs were kind of released as singles in different territories here. So arguably, although I don't know the raw sales data, in terms of chart placings, Fish slightly won this battle.
Right, right.
I didn't realize until I went and looked at these numbers again and kind of reminded myself of where all these things got to. Because in my head, Marillion's album came out first. They had a bigger profile. They had quite slick promo videos. My, does Steve Hogarth look like Lloyd Cole from Lloyd Cole and the Commotions?
It kind of
Don't even
does.
know.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
If you go and watch the uninvited guest video where he is playing good and evil against himself, you think, wow,
Mhm.
that's Steve Hogarth and Lloyd Cole. That's really weird. But there you go.
Yeah.
But then the video for Big Wedge is phenomenal too, because Fish is
Right.
wearing the Uncle Sam and he's got the top hat on and he's doing the pulpit thing and all that kind of stuff. And
Right.
he plays these characters so well. So to be fair to EMI, much though they asked for Vigil to be held back, arguably it could have done better if it had been first. Arguably not. We'll never know. But they did back both of these albums in a very, very similar way. They get exactly the same treatment. They all get a single that comes out before the album is released, a single that is basically released at the same time, and then a third one. And they
Right.
both really do exactly the same.
Yeah.
And I don't know
Yeah.
if that's because it was exactly the same people buying both, or if
Right.
we just split the fan base and half bought one and half bought the other, and maybe if they'd
Right.
stayed together, maybe they'd all gone to number one.
Right.
Who knows?
Right.
But in
Right.
terms of feel, I would suggest that we are in a different world entirely here now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because usually the frosting's the same, because Fish is Fish. You're never ever going to mistake his vocals, his persona, his phrasing, his style, his ideas for anybody else.
No.
Musically, Marillion would not play this album in any shape or form, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, no, there are moments where you're like, there's no way that this song would have made it. Yeah. There's moments on this record you're like, no way. Like you said, especially the folkiness, that stuff that comes, the Scottish folk thing that comes in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. But I do think, I think Big Wedge is a real achievement from this album. I really like that song. It's big and it's bold. It's got brass on it, and yes,
Hmm.
there's saxophone on Season's End, which was odd for Marillion, but it works.
Hmm.
Um, but you would never have expected big kind of those big
Yeah, the
brass
horns.
blasts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
the horns that you get
Yeah.
on Big Wedge, and yet you get the most tender thing that to
Oh,
this point he's sung on at any stage. And Cliche isn't much more
too far
kind of
behind that.
proven. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
He's taken risks already at this point. And I think musically and stylistically we're diverging already. And it's one of those times that lots of artists kind of go, "Oh yes, don't call me a heavy metal band. We're not a heavy metal band." But Fish has always been a progressive rock act, and he really isn't. And he really never has been when you listen to the catalogue. It's just that there's nowhere else to put him.
Right.
He
Right.
comes from a prog background
That's a
because
good way to say it. Yeah.
Marillion are neo prog,
Right.
and there's not much doubt of that, although at varying degrees while Fish is with them. They quickly move on from that into something else entirely. But Fish almost does immediately. But
Right.
it's just really
Right.
difficult to work out. If this hadn't been done by an ex prog singer,
Hmm.
this is just a beautiful piano ballad.
Yeah, it's a ballad. Right.
That's what it
Yeah.
is. But
Yeah.
you look at these songs through a different prism. Big Wedge is it's a gigantic pop song. This
Hmm.
one, Big Wedge. State of Mind is proggish, I would
Right.
suggest. So they
Yeah.
do kind of present the album in a kind of proggy kind of way, but we're also very political lyrically. And same again, we're at that point where you can understand why other people would maybe go, "You sure that's how you want to present yourself?"
Are you
You know,
sure? Yeah.
yeah. But I'm not going to argue with the sentiment
Right.
behind the lyric, because it's all about being lied to from on high and all this kind
Right.
of stuff. And no
Right.
matter your political leanings, I think we all have to agree that we're not always told the truth all the time.
Hmm.
And he's foreshadowing all of that, and it was relevant then. It's more relevant now, I would suggest. So lyrically, it's very astute because he always was. But then, so is Season's End, because that
Yeah.
song is about climate change, whether you're on that boat or whether you're not. They were ahead of the game and even discussing this as a topic. So it's fascinating how parallel these are, and yet they are already parallel in a more diverging path. And by the time
Right.
you get to the end of the Vigil album, because obviously it came out second. I mean, one of my good friends who was into Marillion as I was at this point, he quite liked Season's End. He didn't like Vigil at all because it
Interesting.
didn't relate to, and we it was me and him that went to see Fish before the album came out, so he was on board. He wasn't one of the naysayers. He wasn't going to say, "Well, I'm a Marillion fan." He
Right.
was keen to see both. And he came away from the concert and was like, I really enjoyed that, and it was brilliant, and the Marillion songs were done really well, and the new stuff sounds really good. And then we bought the album and we listened to it, and he was kind of like, "What is this?
He was like,
What is
eh,
this?"
yeah,
Yeah.
right.
And he's never, I mean, he's been to see Fish over the years and he's kind of dabbled. He's never really been on board since, but then he never really has with Marillion after Season's End either. So
Oh, interesting.
that's an
Okay.
interesting thing too.
Yeah.
This split really does split fans in a variety of ways,
Hmm.
and there are still people, as I say, on forums and Facebook pages and things that are still very much entrenched in the "I like this, but I don't like that."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It really
People love
more
to
than
do
me.
that. They love to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is
So yeah,
I'm over here. Like, okay. Okay, man.
yeah, absolutely. And look at the artwork. The artwork is
Oh,
phenomenal.
it's phenomenal. I love it.
Mark Wilkinson is
God, that is
just
beautiful. Beautiful artwork and a
outstandingly
beautiful
good.
song, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love the
yeah.
artwork. Love
And
it.
I love the logo at this point too.
I mean, that's more what you're thinking when you're Marillion. Like, that's the art you want. It's the art you
That's exactly.
want.
I mean, I
Yeah.
had a T-shirt with this on it back at
Yeah.
that point too, and
So cool.
it's just so cool. It
Yeah, I
is,
love
yeah,
it.
so good. So I think it is a fascinating era. Do you have a
Mhm.
preference, Tom? Do you prefer one over the other? There's the ultimate hard question.
Wow. I think I would have to go. I'd probably a slight, I mean, very slight edge to Season's End.
Okay.
Um, but that being said, when I'm listening to the Fish record, I'm like, man, this thing's really good. Like there's moments on the Fish record that I think are I'm kind of contradicting myself, but there's moments on the Fish record that maybe are higher than Season's End, possibly for me. But I think as an overall record, I'm going to pick Season's End. So that would be my pick. How about you?
Well, it's interesting because I listened to these albums a ginormous amount when they came out. And when they came out, it does actually seem to have mattered. And I didn't really consider this until we kind of sat down to do some prep for this. That with Season's End coming out in September, so late into the year, to me, it's a kind of melancholy autumn album. And it's an
Yes.
album I listened to a lot on headphones on a Walkman back then, as you did, from a cassette copy that I'd made from the vinyl. And I associate it with walking and being outside and connecting with the world as I'm listening to it. Whereas Vigil becomes a winter album and it
Oh,
becomes a
interesting.
dark album released in
Interesting.
January that I listened
Right.
to in the house a lot,
Yes.
in the dark with the lights on, or like a dim light in a corner and all this kind of stuff as a 16-year-old at this stage. And or 15, 16. And I connect it with that. And to me, it makes it a darker, deeper, more dense album. And therefore, as with all albums, it depends what mood I'm in, which I prefer. But
Right.
if you were going to tie me down and force me to choose one that I prefer out of the two, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I just feel from start to finish, Season's End is a complete album. It works. It's been sequenced really well. It has got that kind of dark center that kind of gives you a different aspect, hooks in you, and After Me, which wasn't on the vinyl initially, so I didn't hear that. It was a B side. It's the B side to Hooks in You
Right.
when it first
Right.
came out. So I knew it was the B side, and then years later buying it on CD, I was like, "Oh, why is that in there?"
Oh,
And
it's on this.
especially
What?
the
What?
acoustic
Yeah,
and all
exactly.
that kind of stuff.
What is
But
it
it
with Marillion?
does.
Like, Going Under, they did that too, right?
It's all to do with vinyl length.
Yes,
That's
it's
all.
all length.
It's
Right.
literally
Right.
just kind of because I think the Voyeur I like to watch by Fish. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's on the original CD release, which I don't have, and
Mm-hmm.
that's quite rare these days. I think that was on the CD release, but it's not on the vinyl. which is what I've
Okay.
got. It's sitting behind me.
Got it.
So when I hear that song, which I don't love, I'm glad I bought the vinyl because to me now that I hear this version, which puts it in the album, I go, oh no, don't do that.
Yeah. No, no, no. Exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
but that's a
Right.
familiarity thing as well.
Yes.
Um,
And you
so
pointed
yeah,
out the song that for me was the same. I mean, we're agreeing a lot here, but I agree with you that one song that kind of takes you out of it a little bit. That for some reason the voyeur song that just it's not quite fit with the rest of the record for me.
I think his vocal is different on it too. I appreciate he's trying to play the character of a guy who is uncomfortable or making you uncomfortable.
Right.
And that whole
Right.
scenario is one that you should be uncomfortable
That's
with,
the
and
whole
that
point.
meaning
Right. That's
is
the whole point.
yeah.
Yeah.
But the vocal seems to be overbearing in a way that the rest of the album doesn't, and it does you everything flows, and then you get to there and it goes, "Wah!"
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
flows again. And
Right.
I just put that down to me not wanting it to be in an album that to me it doesn't belong to because it didn't when I bought it.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
I actually can't remember on this. I would need to let's not do that just now because I know he changed the track order on certainly for the second album, Internal Exile, on the deluxe version. That's even worse. Don't do that.
Oh, he changed the order on Internal Exile. Oh my God. Okay.
And I would need to go look through this and let's not do that.
Yeah. We'll do that. We'll do that for another episode.
We'll do
Exactly.
that for another episode. Yeah, that's not. I understand why you did it because it's what you always wanted it to be and all that kind of way. But as a
Right. But
fan,
still, as
enjoyed
a
albums
fan,
for
you're like,
years, you listen
no,
to it
don't,
and you
no.
know what
Yeah.
song's coming next, and you're just like,
Right.
happen? Why would you?
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
not go there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I really do. At the risk of overemphasizing the point, I think right from the off, we got to quote the Marillion best of, we got the best of both worlds.
Yes.
Is what we got because I don't think that Marillion could have made Vigil, and I adore that album. So I couldn't imagine my world without it.
Hmm.
And I think the demos, the pre-clutching demos, prove that they couldn't have made Season's End with Fish. And I can't imagine my life without that album either. So right from the off, I remember being devastated when the split happened because it was one of those ones that felt so seismic. You thought, we're just done here. Neither of these are going to be able to continue without each other. And within a couple of weeks of having both these albums, 6 months apart, I really was kind of sitting there going, wow, everyone's a winner. Everyone's a winner here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was, and I've maintained that all the way through peaks and troughs because all bands that have gone on for decades have peaks and troughs. But I really do think that the body of work that Fish has created has been vast and varied in a way that he couldn't have done with Marillion. And I believe that Marillion have evolved in a way that they couldn't have done with Fish. And I'm one of these lucky, fortunate, odd, whatever we want to look at it, individuals. I'm on board for both of these journeys.
Hmm.
And I've ended up with a vast catalogue of music that I don't think I would have done because I really do think that if Fish and Marillion had stayed together, we would have got another one or two albums before it just went boom.
Yeah.
And I would reckon that we maybe wouldn't have got it. I think Marillion would have finished. I don't think they'd have gone on with a different singer. I think it would have imploded, and we would just have ended up with wasn't that good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
some people will put in the comments underneath, yeah, but that would have been enough. Well, okay. We all your mileage may vary.
Yeah, I wouldn't care if they did one more album and exploded and never played another
Yeah.
note. Okay, I mean,
And
that's
fair enough,
one. That's
and if
fair
that's
enough.
what you
That's a fair
feel,
enough
that is
comment, right?
okay.
Yeah.
All opinions are valid, and I do
Right.
mean that because who
Yeah.
knows, it could be the best thing that they'd ever done. It might well have been,
Right.
but I'm a happy punter to
Yeah, no, I'm the
paraphrase
same.
this
I'm
again
the
forever.
same way. I'm gonna say the same. I'm gonna say I'm happy with both records. I'm happy to own both of them. And when I listened to them for this episode, I was happy listening to them both. And different, and they kind of scratched a little bit different itches, honestly,
Mm.
if I'm really honest about it. Um, but
I'm
they
going to
they
ask you
both
one more
work.
question
Sure,
before we wrap. Then we'll ask you one more
sure,
question.
sure.
Did you stick with both after this?
Uh,
See,
I have
I'm
to.
outing you now, am I?
You're asking the hard questions, man. I'm gonna so, but this is what people like. This is why people watch. Um, no, I would say that I did not. I didn't stick with. I mean, I bought Internal Exile,
Mm,
and for some reason after that, I sort of dropped off of Fish, which is weird.
okay.
But I didn't. I mean, I kind of paid attention, but not really. I paid more attention to Marillion.
Okay.
with Holidays in Eden and going
You go to
forward from there.
Brave after that.
Brave, right. So
Mm.
I was into those two records. I saw them on the Holidays in Eden tour, and I think I said this already, but saw them, excuse me, saw them in Milwaukee, and for the Holidays in Eden tour, and it was a small, it was a tiny place, and I was like, wow, Marillion's playing this bar in Milwaukee, like what? I couldn't believe it, but that's kind of the where they were at that point in the U.S. at least. Um,
Well, trajectory, hard word to say, that was similar here too, not to the same kind of extent, but by Holidays in Eden, the bubble had burst over here because one of my friends went to see whatever the anniversary would be, 20 years at that point, maybe, at Wembley Arena, and it was half empty. I mean, that's a big venue. That At that point, I'm talking
right,
the UK's biggest
right,
venue and
yeah,
well, indoor venue. And they had booked that thinking, we're still on the crest of this wave. And I remember after that, my mate Neil was kind of like, well, that's the beginning of the end, is what it would feel like. And for many a year, that's what happened. I've seen them in kind of club-sized venues and various things. I've seen them at the Barrowlands for Brave, and then we saw them in smaller places, the Garage and things like that in Glasgow, which is just over 1,000 in it. And then since then, they have managed to completely reclimb the mountain and go back to things like the Royal Albert Hall and
yeah. God
drive
bless
through those
them, right?
venues
I
and
mean, that's
all these
incredible.
kind of things. So
Yeah,
the arc has been quite amazing, and Fish's arc has been similar too, because even before announcing that he was finished, and he was starting to play good sized venues again and various things. So there's an element of if you stick around long enough
yes, you
and
do.
continue
It
to
comes
release
around. It comes
excellent
around.
music,
Yeah, yeah, it comes
people will
around.
come around. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So I think that's a perfect spot to stop. So I would say that's a great concluding comment because I mean, both careers are worth digging into, and I believe, and I do completely. And people say that I agree with my guests too much, so I disagree. No, I agree that that the trajectory that they couldn't have coexisted. It just wasn't going to happen. So it was there two. You did a great job of telling the reasons why. I think there was a many myriad of reasons. Don't think it would have happened. So I think we'd just be happy that they both all of them continued making music and
Yeah.
into for years and years afterwards. So that's fantastic. But this whole episode was just basically talking about that first rift and what happened and what albums they made and looking at those records. And I think it was a like Stephen was saying, it was sort of like I mean, treasure trove. There was nothing wrong. There was no, I mean, it was both records were very solid.
Yep.
And so
I can find very little fault with either.
so just more to enjoy. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments. We already mentioned the comments already, but we want to know. I mean, I don't even care if if you're just have vitriol towards us. Just what is talking about.
Yeah.
We're ready for it. You can bring it on. But we want to know if in all seriousness, what do what's your take on these records? What is it? Is Marillion win the battle? Does Fish win the battle? Is there a battle? Does it need to be a battle? Can we all just coexist and be happy? Probably not. Most likely no. But yeah, let us know in the comments. I read the comments, so let us know. And thank you, Stephen. Thank you again for coming on the channel. It's always a pleasure.
Always lots of fun, Tom. I love being on. Thank you.
Yep. Yep, absolutely. So hopefully Steven will come back at some point, maybe in another month or so. Who knows? But yeah, appreciate it and great to see you. And thank you, everybody. If you're with us this long, you must be a big Marillion fan. So we appreciate you as well. Please hit the like and subscribe if you like what you see. It just helps the channel. So I appreciate that. And that's it. We'll see you next time on Curless Mania. Take care. See ya.